Welcome to Data Minds podcast, special edition from Data Science Conference 2024. It's 10th annual conference, and we decided to shoot it at this place to draw interesting guests. And today with me is Amadeusz from Deloitte. Hi, Amadeusz.
Hello.
Welcome to Belgrade. Welcome to Serbia.
Yes, it's very nice to be here. Impressive conference, lots of exciting topics, so nice to be here.
Yeah. Is it your first time in Serbia or not?
No, many times.
Many times, right?
But first time on, let's say, business trip.
On a business trip, yeah.
And first time on such a huge data science event.
Yeah, Alexander did a really good job with the conference.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to start off with yourself. Can you share a bit how a person ends up being business consultant in companies such as Deloitte? Maybe what was your education background and how you ended up in this role that you have now?
So I can say it wasn't like fully planned. Yeah? Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like I went to university and I knew I will be a consultant. I though went to economics school, right? So after economics university, typically you either end up in bank and consulting, professional services, tech companies, like many places. I started in EY, it was like something like 14, 15 years ago. It was 2.5 years, many different teams, departments. Not yet then connected to anything around AI, because back then actually AI was still rare, so not really present in companies. I think nobody even had the data scientist in organizations. They were more like business analysts, and
they were called statisticians.
Nobody was coding in Python.
Yeah. People
were starting to understand what is R, but it was rather at universities, right? So these were the times. Then I moved to McKinsey, where I spent like almost 11 years. And in the third year of my life in McKinsey, I did the first big data science transformation for one of the leading telco companies. It was very innovative back then. It was like one of the first programs, so big, and it was successful. So I started personally to get excited about the topic, believe in it. I started actually to learn R. Back then R was still cool. Then it changed to Python, right? So now everything I had to learn in Python. And then I joined Deloitte very recently. It was, I think now I'm still in, I think now it's like a bit more than half a year. And I'm leading in Deloitte our AI capabilities in Poland, and I'm part of the Central European team that we have focused on data science and data engineering. So I would say a bit not on purpose at the beginning. I was more like exploring, a bit like Swiss Army knife, doing different industries, projects, sectors. But then I found a passion to AI world, and I tried in many places, and here am I.
I'm coming from different part of the coin. My background was engineering, and then I decided to open up my own company and needed to learn a lot about finances, management, HR, sales, etc., etc.
I wonder which way is easier.
I wanted to ask you that. I think your way is easier, because with development of technology, which is raising on the abstraction level, I think it is becoming more and more easy for people that are not deep technically skilled to play in technology field. But I wanted to
synthesize.
How was your experience when you first took R, Python courses?
It was fun, because actually in high school I was in informatics in IT high school. So I was coding in languages like Pascal. So, I think fresh viewers don't know what it is, right? People born after, let's say, in this millennia, I think nobody had the pleasure in Pascal, but I did, right, in my high school. Then on university, it was more like PHP a bit, but like not like deeply. So it was a bit, natural for me to see, what is the concept on R, like, how the libraries and packages work. There are so many good courses online that are very interactive and fun. I use datacamp.com many hours, and I did the same in Python, and then I use it on projects. So I feel comfortable, but I agree with you that it's impossible now to be deeply technologically advanced in all of the needs that now AI requires. It's hard to be super knowledgeable about Azure services versus AWS versus GCP, and then on top, Snowflake as well, and others, and then on top, knowing all of the packages in Python for neural networks, and at the same time understanding how to do data pipelines and AI pipelines. So I think it's like, from the tech perspective, it's difficult to bring this holistic view anymore. Like this kind of concept of being like a full stack developer in the other world, in the software development cycle. I think it doesn't really work well in AI now, given the complexity we have. So I guess it might be actually easier to bring this end-to-end view a bit more like from business angle, and then learn a bit, as I did, some basics, but not going deep because it's impossible. Then maybe to go from like very narrow but very deep tech domain to suddenly learn other tech domains and the entire business world, which also is quite broad.
I fully agree.
Because I just kind of, it's my feeling because I just went from one direction.
I'm from different side of the coin, as I said, and I think I fully agree with you. When we were starting, pretty much you needed to do everything manually, create data pipeline, choose tools, create APIs, etc., etc. Now you have ChatGPT, which is just a single API, and model is abstracted away. There are a lot of no-code, low-code solutions which are getting more and more mature. But what is not getting more and more mature is understanding business problems and mapping technology. So I fully agree with you, and I'm trying in my company to teach engineers to speak with everyone from the business. I was on one lecture today where last note of it was state of data engineering, and the last slide from one guy was talk to your customers with big letters, even though it was heavy data engineering topic. You mentioned
actually, when I recruit to Deloitte, and the same I did in other companies, of course, being a deep tech expert, given we are hiring, for specific technology role, of course this is like crucial. But at the same time, I'm actually doing like business mini cases with people on interviews. So that I find out, this good balanced people that are super good in technology and specific kind of domain, but also have some curiosity at least. Or like, open mind to think about, if I do a landing zone in AWS and I deploy the machine learning model, what is, like, why am I doing it? Right? Like, what's happening with client, with business, with people? How is it generating impact? I think, this type of people, I mean, they are rare, but like they will flourish in the current, revolution that we have in technology and business world.
I want to move our conversation actually in that direction. Business value, business impact, etc., etc. And you mentioned that your first project, if I'm not mistaken, was transformation in telco industry, and you said it was successful. How did you measure success, or why did you say that? How do you know that it was successful?
It's actually a funny story, because when I started, I went to the team and they said, "Hey, Amadeusz, we don't know why you are here. I mean, we have everything. We have machine learning models. They are running in our channels, like call center, branches everywhere. We have fantastic results. Like, somebody made a mistake that hired you guys." And I'm like, okay, interesting, right? Start. So I told them, like, give me 1 week to see, maybe likely you are right, but give me 1 week, I will come back and we think through. So I went to the head of call center And I said, hey, I'm about to start this project, but I heard actually you have lots of AI models already, good results, Could you tell me about it? And he said, like, Amadeusz, I don't know what you are talking about. I'm like, okay, but he was new in the company, so maybe, he was not yet on board, but he was like head of call center. So I'm like, all right, let me then maybe go to call center to people that actually, should be using these tools. I went there to other city, I traveled, I met lots of people, I observed what do they do, in call center you have these systems, they have a call, lots of logins. And I was observing that actually during conversation there was no use of AI models. So I started then to talk to people, like to call center agents, because maybe I was not aware, right? Like maybe there is something that I didn't notice, and they also were like confused. They said like, "What are you talking about? Like AI? What is it? What kind of AI?" So I was already feeling, maybe there is something I can do. And then I've seen on front end there was a button. It was like a red exclamation mark, and I asked like, "What is it?" Nobody knew. I said, "Can we click it?" They clicked it, and behind it was like. There were like anti-churn offers to retain a customer. But like nobody was using it, nobody knew, right?
Yeah.
And then I look also at the result because, in telco companies, like you can compare results because it's official every quarter, like it's measured by government in different countries. And I look at the result and actually this company was not like number one.
Yeah.
It was rather in the second part of the market when it comes to customer retention. So, and by retention, I mean if customers don't leave. So then I came back and I shared my observations, and it was shocking to people because the team was like really doing hard work, and they've seen in the numbers that it kind of works.
Hard engineering work.
Yes, but they didn't reach out to business to get understanding, on the business process, right? And it was actually happening for years. So it was like a long history, right? So then, of course, we did a project, like normal project. The main part was not really the AI models, because the client had good, capable data scientists. Our data scientists and client data scientists, of course, they updated the models because anyway we had to do it. But then the main part was, I was spending like lots of hours on the floor in call center. It was pre-COVID.
Talking to people.
People were really in call center. Now, of course, they are like working from home in call center, like in distributed. So it's more difficult. But back then, because it was like 8-9 years ago, I was just there in the city with them together, and we were like figuring out, what would be helpful to provide to them from these AI models so that it's useful in their daily work. So we had things like, I printed like a one-pager card with description of 5-6 customer segments that we created in AI model. While it was printed, we wanted to put it in front end, but we found out that it will cost €1 million to put it in front end. Because it was front end by vendor. It was very small change request, but vendor said, oh, it will be 1 million and it will take us 4 release cycles, and they were quarterly, so like 1 year. So then we figured, okay, maybe we provide like number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this front end, which is for free. And print card translating one is this type of individual, this type of segment. And it worked magic. So we've seen increased conversion on the pilots versus control groups that was not touched with our models. 30% increased conversion, just like that.
And I think you scratched this topic on your lecture, adoption of people who will use AI tools or any kind of tools. And I think it's really important. Maybe you can talk about that, how you are approaching from Deloitte's perspective. When are you including actual users of some tool? How are you involving them in the process? How are you selling that they need to use yet another tool, different tool maybe? This is all part of transformation. Maybe you can share a couple of...
So the key is to involve them and users before we even start.
Early in the process.
Even before. So before even Deloitte or any other company, or teams internal from the client, before they actually start on something, they should actually discuss with end users what would be helpful for end user, because there are two things, right? Like number one, it's a bit educating end users, especially now what Gen AI is about, like how it can actually help. Lots of people are worried, they have
scared
objections, sometimes reasonable, sometimes unreasonable, because they just don't know it enough yet, which is normal because it's new technology. So big role is actually to excite them, to educate them, to tell them, to show them on some cases. And then to hear them actually, because then sometimes they know best what would help them, even though they don't understand yet how Gen AI works. When they see it, how fast it can summarize a 50-pager document. Then they already like, aha, it can do that. So maybe in my work, it can do actually this, and that. And that's how I then create a bit like scope of work for exploration. So it's good to start small, like we call it, proof of value. Not to confuse with proof of concept, because the difference is proof of concept is a bit, let's give it a try to see if it works. We actually know it will work. Gen AI will work. We don't need to test if it will work. We know it will work.
But whether
so we say proof of value means we will prove to the end user that it works. Which means we need to not just do it theoretically, but do it on some real thing that this end user has in the daily work. That is not random, but this is a standard of this person's daily work. And to give you like one example, recently one of my clients, the journey we started, that they created like we did a demo of our solutions to inspire. Then they thought together with us how this could be of help to them, and they created like a super long and detailed list. So they got so excited that they created like a very long list of like 40 things we could do to them for them. And they even started to put like what they believe could be prompts. And they collected documents. So I was very positively surprised. And then we had a look and we said, okay, I mean, to do all of that, it's massive, but why don't we start from like 4 things that we feel will make a difference? And we checked with them, will it really make the difference? And they said 3 of them yes, 1 not, so let's do another one. And we did. And it just took like 1 week, literally 1 week, of one individual from us, one person, 1 week full time, working with this client to show that like how fast we can solve these 4 things. And all of them were solved to the extent that they were happy about it. They were not perfect, because it was like, 1 week exercise. But they've seen a value, they understood that it will tremendously help them in the daily work in terms of like quality, time required, reduce stress, because they have such a huge backlog. That after a week they were like, we feel educated, we know what it is, we know what it can do, we understand the limits, but we are fine to give it a try, right? And that's how now we are like scaling this a bit more.
Yeah, that's a good advice. I think yesterday we talked about that on Roundtable, and we said that usually you cannot marry to an idea that you have big bang project and spend all your resources. Probably it is much better to take small portions and do this cycles to demo, to adjust, etc., and to teach business and to test with technology and do small steps.
Fully agree. I think now it really needs to be like truly agile. And I know that agile used to be a good word and it became a bad word. Then now it's like a mixed word. But generally, when you think about use cases in Gen AI, it's so innovative that saying upfront, hey, we're gonna do this massive transformation that will take 2-3 years and let's do it. Nobody knows, unless this is something proven. If it's like a really innovative use case, nobody knows 3 years from now, what even kind of LLM models will be there. And what will be needed, so impossible. Of course, everything is kind of possible, but it doesn't make sense to upfront say, hey, 2-3 years, 10 million euro, let's go ahead. It's better to really chunk it into pieces, quickly test, and a lot of these tests will fail. I mean, we actually were showing on the presentations that 70% of POCs fail, and that's okay.
That's okay.
That's okay if they fail after 2-3 weeks, 4, 5, 2 months, whatever, but not like 3 years. But this means that we need to have like 10 of such tests, not like 2 or 1.
Yeah.
Because then we will likely not scale.
And you should not rush into decision that AI is not good for you. You should probably do these 10 small tests in order to get 3 really successful business cases.
And in different areas of business, not to put all of the eggs to one basket.
Yeah.
Because if you focus on one finance function, let's say, and grill it down, and there are like 20 use cases, but nobody in finance will really believe in it.
Yeah.
All of them will fail, and done deal, right? Like no scaling.
Yeah. And how do you? I really liked on your presentation how you divided AI cases in the company in one group, which is AI for individuals, AI for business units, and AI for innovation or something like that. Maybe you can elaborate a bit about that, and then I want to ask you a follow-up question.
So it's kind of connected, and it goes. The way you describe it, it goes from let's say the quick wins to the more tectonic, shifts and changes, right? Because AI and all of them are required to be really successful in scaling, right? Because AI for individuals means that people that should know, and the best would be everybody, but sometimes organizations have millions of people, so that's of course impossible. But the core people that will benefit from AI should be knowledgeable about it. So we educate, and then they will actually figure out how to use it, and they will be excited to use it, and that's how quick wins are done. These will be small, typically, sometimes bigger, but we'd rather see a bit smaller things that help them in daily work, and then they are happy about improved quality of their work, less workload and so on. But you need this so that people are seeing it makes sense. And in parallel, you start preparing for this AI for business, which is more for the whole units, department, divisions, countries, and so on, where you take the current things that they have and you figure out how we can improve it. So it's a bit, a bit still evolution, then not revolution. A bit I have in banks, I have a mortgage process, I'm getting this real estate documentation, now I need to read it, manually take some data, put in system, create ticket, it goes. So automating that, you can do it now at scale, we have such cases, it works well, it has good accuracy. So this can be already scaled up in AI of business, domain. And then you go to the last one, this is reimagine business. So here we can think about things like hyper-personalization of customer communication and mobile app, right? So a bit Netflix or Amazon style experience, but in other sectors like telcos or banks or insurers. To do that, this is a massive transformation, because you need to change technology, you need to have data, you need to have people, you need to completely change the model people collaborate between departments. To give you an example, in order to have dynamic personalization of customer communication. So let's say I'm a mobile app of my bank. I scrolled left and I'm getting a relevant text to myself and picture that is hyper personalized. So it's individualized to me. Today, even if you have technology to do it, nobody will allow you to do it, because there is compliance team that reviews every content before it goes to client. So it's impossible to do it in real time, right? So this requires complete reimagination of the role, for example, of compliance and legal team in banks, which is not an easy thing, and requires their buy-in and approval, because they will, if you just say now, I will enforce this and it's happening, they will say rightfully, did you think about AI Act, DORA, GDPR? How about cybersecurity risk, our brand reputation? Have you tested that, right? Everyone will be no, and they will say, okay, you cannot go. I wanted to ask you, because this was for me the
the most valuable moment in your presentation, but I don't want to reveal everything that you shared because probably it will be video recording. I just wanted to ask you, in this third group, innovation of the business, do you see in Deloitte, because you have probably a lot of different customers, do you see any company exploring this group, or you think everybody is at the moment trying to make their individuals much more efficient and maybe doing certain things like customer support automation, which is more like business unit?
So I think 90+%, if not 95% of companies are not yet thinking about reimagining the business. And this also even links to our research, where we do, like, we interview 2,000 CXOs globally every quarter, because Gen AI is so dynamic that we do this every quarter. And we see that only 6% of companies say that they feel very comfortable with internal capabilities on Gen AI. Only 6%. And half a year ago it was 5%. So it's like really slowly growing.
Slowly growing,
Very stable.
We are waiting for technology probably to mature.
And these 6% of companies, they do explore, right? So I actually have a pleasure to work for one of such companies globally, and they really explore it. But it's like it's a big journey, right? So they are actually doing all of the things that we mentioned, right? So they are thinking about AI for individuals, right? So they have such programs. They do have AI for business, right? So they have like massive transformations where Gen AI is starting to be used at really scale, and we are seeing first results. And they are also thinking more strategically how Gen AI can like revolutionize their industry. So they will become kind of AI or Gen AI even at someday maybe driven company, right? But it's not that they are like kind of confident about it. No, so it's not like in strategy that they are like signed that they're gonna do it, but they are very actively putting a lot of effort, investment, resources into figuring this out, because they believe that there is a chance that it will actually create a competitive advantage. So it's worth to explore. And and from the first cases, this AI for individuals and AI for business, they are generating impact that can be reinvested, fueled this bigger program of like fully like thinking like how to reimagine the enterprise.
Hope this number will start doubling and pacing up. Thanks, Amadeusz. I don't want to take more time from meeting, networking, doing meetings and everything, but thanks for stopping by and sharing your experience. I really liked your lecture. That's why we decided to call you to our podcast.
Super. Thanks for having me. It was a great discussion.
Have a nice time in Belgrade and on this conference.
Yeah, looking forward to it.